During my son's routine dental exam, the dentist pulled me aside and said, his adult molars have serial numbers etched into them. My son is 9 years old. He's been in my custody for 3 years. Before that, he was with my ex-wife, Haley, and her boyfriend, a man named Dex. I want you to understand something before I continue. When the family court judge handed me full custody of my son, Nolan, she described the conditions of Haley's home as deeply concerning. That was the polite legal version. The real version is that Nolan spent 2 years sleeping on a pull-out couch in a basement, eating fast food most nights, and spending his days with a man I had never been allowed to meet. When Nolan came to live with me, he didn't make eye contact when he talked. He flinched if I raised my voice to answer the phone. He ate like someone was going to take his plate away. It took a year of therapy before he stopped doing that last one. So when Dr. Holloway asked me to step out of the exam room and close the door behind us, I was already braced for something. I have been braced for something ever since I got that boy back. I need to show you something on the x-rays, she said. She pulled them up on the monitor and pointed at 2 of his permanent molars, the ones that had come in over the last 2 years. On the surface of each one, barely visible even on the image, were tiny etchings, not damage, not a developmental abnormality. Deliberate marks, a sequence of numbers. I've been practicing for 18 years, Dr. Holloway said. I've never seen this. I asked her what she thought it was. She said she didn't know, but that she was required to report it, and she had already called. I sat in that waiting room for 40 minutes while Nolan watched cartoons on a tablet in the exam chair, completely unaware. I kept thinking about when those teeth had come in. His first permanent molar broke through about 8 months after he came to live with me. The second one, maybe a year after that, both well within the window of time he had been in my home, in my care, sleeping in an actual bed with an actual pillow. But the etching, Dr. Holloway had told me, would have required access to the teeth during a procedure, sedation, equipment. It wasn't something that happened accidentally or gradually. Someone put Nolan under and did this on purpose. The investigator who arrived was a woman named Solis. She was calm in a way that made me feel like she had walked into rooms like this before and already knew how it ended. She photographed the x-rays and asked me a series of questions about Nolan's dental history before he came to live with me. I didn't have records. Haley had handled all of that. What Solis told me next made the room tilt slightly. The numbers weren't random. They were a format used in a trafficking identification system, a method that had apparently surfaced in a handful of federal cases over the past decade. Children were marked before being moved. The numbers corresponded to a registry of sorts, used to identify inventory. If a child was ever recovered and the marks were found, they could be traced back to the network that processed them. I asked Solis if she was telling me my son had been trafficked. She said she was telling me he had been prepared to be. The reason he hadn't been, as best anyone could reconstruct later, was me. I had filed for emergency custody the same week Haley and Dex had apparently arranged for Nolan to be transferred. My filing, and the resulting court freeze on Nolan's travel and residency, had stopped the transfer before it happened. Dex had panicked, and the deal had fallen through. Nolan had been sitting in that basement for months, already marked, waiting to be moved. And then I showed up with a lawyer and a stack of documentation about the living conditions, and the whole thing collapsed. He came to me instead. Dex was arrested 4 months after that appointment. He is currently awaiting trial on federal charges. Haley cooperated with investigators in exchange for a reduced charge. The network they were connected to had processed 11 other children over 6 years. Nolan doesn't know any of this yet. He knows Dex was a bad person. He knows that's why he lives with me now. That is enough for right now. Last week I took him back to Dr. Holloway for a follow-up. He asked if she had stickers. She gave him 4, and he talked about them the whole drive home. That's what 9 is supposed to look like.